I think that it's God's like,
but we
I've
get
gotta
mad.
you
We
moved.
can choose to be mad at that person.
Right.
Okay, instead of recognizing that it was God moving in our life. And I think that's where we have to have His Spirit before we can recognize that.
Oh, yeah. You're not in the flesh, because you're always going to look for what we call the scapegoat, the reason that justifies their anger,
Makes sense.
justifies us. If we can point a finger at something and say, the reason I'm not where I'm at in life is because of this or him or her, nobody gets out of that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use it, but Rocky Balboa
Right.
said to his son, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and
Right.
keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And I try to remember that, because it's not. We all think it's about the power of the punch. It's gonna beat you to your knees, and to be able to move forward and recognize, God, you're calling me to a forward motion, because you've seen I was getting stale.
Yeah.
I was enjoying the rut. I was enjoying the predictability. I was enjoying knowing what life is. And now you threw a curveball.
Yeah.
But,
I agree with you. I mean, I think if we can recognize that, one of the things that God really stressed with me early on, He said, son, most Christians don't know the difference between me and the devil. Okay? And they think the devil's trying to kill them and God's trying to help them.
Yeah.
I mean, my daddy whooped me one time for skipping school. I only skipped school one time. He didn't whoop me. He beat the fire out of me. Okay? And, and he acted like it was bothering him, but it was bothering me a lot. And I think about stuff, but it really kept me. And the biggest thing I remember, I couldn't understand why he was so upset until I seen my mama crying, because she didn't know where I was that morning. Me and Jim Shelton didn't show up for school.
Gotcha.
And we were up on the hill playing cards, but it got up around lunchtime. We got hungry. So we went down the house, and there they sat. And he whooped me all over the house. But I think of how, it didn't feel good at the time, but it changed me. And he said, if you don't want to go to school, tell me.
right.
And I did.
Yeah.
I never went on Mondays or Fridays. And he would, I remember one time they said that Mr. Holbrook sent a letter home, with all my excuses on it. My grandmother died several times and all these things. And he sent it home. My dad tore it up in little pieces. And I said, you're supposed to sign that. And he didn't. He tore it up in little pieces, and I taped it all back together and took it back to Mr. Holbrook, and he didn't like that at all. He was upset at that. But I think of these things. Well, now let me ask you this. So we covered some important topics.
Yes.
But if I said this, outside of preacher mode, okay?
Okay.
If I said tomorrow, I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to do whatever makes you happy. What makes
happy.
you and this is a challenge, I know, okay, but because I have trouble thinking of anything that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, I think of what makes you happy. What would make you happy? It's tough, ain't it?
It's a simple question.
Right.
But when your mind really has to think, you go through the cliche answers.
Right.
The answers that you've been taught to say.
Gotcha, yeah.
And so,
It's hard, isn't it?
it's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough.
I'll give you an example of me. I like organizing.
Right.
Okay, I mean, before you come a few hours ago, them sawhorses there, they used to hang up there on a nail. And I got to thinking about that. I said, I believe I can fix that a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
And man, I couldn't accomplish anything that made me feel in. I brought my wife in, showed them to her, and before she come up here, I said, now let me tell you something. When you walk up here and I show you what I'm going to show you, you're going to get all giggly like you did when you was a schoolgirl and when I first married you. And you're going to try to hug and smooch on me, and because this is going to really make you're going to be all romantic when you see that. She said, well, I like organization. I said, I know you do.
Yeah.
But I've got interviews to do, and I don't want smooching all over me and messing my hair up and getting me all fussed up. And I showed her that, and she said, you were exactly right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that made me happy.
Right.
Okay? And we all have things in our life, and it's hard sometimes as men to say, this is what I really...
Well, I think one of the reasons as men, our happiness depends on what we do for other people, right? I mean,
and that can be real.
Benjamin Franklin said this. He said, most men die at the age of 30, but are not buried until 80.
Oh, God.
And that's, and he says, because you have to trade your innocence in to protect the innocence of everybody that's on your watch.
Right.
And I think men do struggle with that.
Makes sense.
And so, but if you ask me what and I know that sound, but just being with people, man, I just love it.
Right.
You put me in a room with people,
Right.
and just, you know, and I don't mean just church. I mean where I work, even where I work. I love going to work just to mess with them, and we prank and we pick and we.
Yeah.
That's to me. You know, I even told the person I work with, I was like, you know, I don't even really do it for the money because this is just a, you know, you just you come in and you're not pastor, you're not preacher, you're not dad, you're not, so you're just kind of flowing. So just being with people,
it's good.
Yeah, and because I'm a people person. That ain't for everybody.
Right.
You know, some people's happy place is away from people, and there's nothing wrong with that answer.
Yeah.
But for me, that's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I like, Janice tries to keep me under control all the time because I'll talk to a hobo